The story begins in the quiet edges of Lagos, where the world forgets its promises. Rain fell through the holes of a tin roof, tapping softly over the small orphanage, run by a woman named Mrs. Adaora Nuzu. Too many. She was just another widow living on charity, but to the children in her care, she was everything: mother, teacher, protector. Adaora had once lived a life of comfort. Her husband, a respected banker, died suddenly in a car accident, leaving her with debts she didn't even know existed. The world turned cold. Friends vanished. Even family whispered that she should move on. Instead, she used what little she had left to open a small orphanage. People said she was foolish. She said, "If pain made me empty, love will fill the space." Then came Tunde. He was 7 years old, silent, thin as a shadow, and always watching. When Adaora found him, he was crouched behind the church dumpsters, clutching a torn piece of bread. His parents had died in a market explosion. No one claimed him. No one wanted him, but Adaora did. She took him home, bathed him, fed him, and gave him a bed. For days, he said nothing. He stared at the wall while the other children played. Then one night, Adaora found him crying softly, whispering to himself, "Mama, I didn't run fast enough." From that night, Adaora promised him, "You never have to run again." Years passed. Tunde grew quiet but brilliant. He fixed radios, repaired lights, and even helped Adaora file paperwork online when the orphanage was threatened with closure. The local councilman, Chief Duro, demanded bribes to renew her license. When she refused, he sent inspectors to harass her. The children watched as men tore through their home, calling it unsafe. Adaora stood her ground. "This place is built with faith," she said, "not your money." They laughed at her. Within weeks, her funding was frozen. Donations disappeared. Rumors spread that she was misusing charity funds. But Adaora didn't stop feeding the children. She sold her jewelry, skipped her own meals, and prayed through the nights. Tunde watched everything. And though he was only 17, something in him hardened. One day, he whispered, "I'll make them see what they did." But fate moved faster than his promise. Late one evening, Adaora was walking home from the market when headlights blinded her. A black SUV screeched to a stop beside her. Two men stepped out. They grabbed her, shoved her inside, and sped away. Her groceries scattered on the road. Witnesses said nothing. Everyone feared Chief Duro's men. For 2 days, the orphanage waited in silence. Then, a message arrived. "Withdraw your complaint about Duro's corruption, or she won't come back." Tunde's hands trembled as he read it. The children looked to him, scared, hungry, helpless. He was no longer that silent boy by the dumpsters. He was their protector now. He went to the police, but no one listened. "You're just a boy," they said. "These are powerful men." But Tunde had something they didn't: the ability to disappear into places others ignored. He began tracing every clue: security cameras, receipts, whispers in the market. He hacked into a local politician's website using old-school computers. And there it was, the contract signed by Chief Duro linking him to illegal land grabs. The orphanage was sitting on valuable ground. Adaora had refused to sell and paid the price. That night, Tunde followed one of Duro's drivers to an abandoned warehouse. He waited until dark, then slipped inside through a broken window. He found Adaora chained to a chair, weak, but alive. She looked up, eyes wide. "Tunde, shh," he whispered, cutting through her ropes with a rusted blade. "We're going home." But fate doesn't release its grip easily. As they crept toward the exit, a flashlight beam caught them. "Who's there?" a voice shouted. Then another. Footsteps. Tunde pulled Adaora behind a stack of crates. The men searched, laughing, confident. One of them, the driver, walked too close. Tunde struck with everything he had. A pipe across the man's knees. Then the lights went out. He grabbed Adora's hand and ran. Outside, the rain had returned, washing away blood and fear. They ran until dawn. By morning, Adaora collapsed at the steps of the church. Tunde carried her inside, shouting for help. She lived but barely. Her body healed, but her spirit broke. The police came again, this time with cameras and outrage. Chief Duro denied everything, but the files Tunde leaked to the media said otherwise. Within a week, the scandal exploded. Chief Duro was arrested. His allies turned against him, and for once, the underdogs were heard. As reporters surrounded Adaora's orphanage, one question echoed: "Who exposed him?" She smiled weakly, looking at Tunde, someone who once believed the world forgot him. The story became national news. The boy who brought down a king. Donations flooded in. The orphanage rebuilt, stronger than before. And for a brief, shining moment, justice had been served. But peace never lasts long in stories like this. 3 months later, Tunde received a plain envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside, a single photograph: Chief Duro, smiling, shaking hands with a foreign investor. At the back of the photo was a note in red ink. You took one man down, but the real power never fell. That night, the lights in the orphanage flickered, and a car slowed outside. Tunde stepped into the doorway, eyes steady, heart racing. He wasn't that scared boy anymore. He was ready. As thunder cracked across the sky, he whispered to himself, if they're coming for us again, they'll learn who we've become. The camera pans out. Rain falls harder. The headlights glow brighter. The night was heavy with thunder, the kind that felt alive, crawling through walls and windows. Inside the orphanage, Tunde sat by the window, watching the same black SUV that once took Adaora crawl slowly past the gate. Its tinted windows hid everything, but he could feel the eyes watching him. He whispered to himself, they're testing me. Since Chief Duro's arrest, everything had changed, and yet, nothing had. The news called him the boy who fought corruption, but fame brought danger. Donations poured in, but so did threats. Anonymous calls, unmarked letters, strange cars idling outside. Adaora told him to stay calm. You've done enough, Tunde. Let the law take its course. But deep down, she knew the truth: the law had never protected people like them. That same week, Tunde got a message from an unknown number. Come alone to the docks tonight if you want answers about Duro's release. At first, he ignored it, but when he saw the attached photo, Adaora kneeling, blindfolded, his world froze. He rushed to her room, empty, her bed, cold, the front door slightly open. No, he whispered, panic rising. Not again. He grabbed his jacket and ran into the storm. The docks were deserted, only the sound of waves crashing against rusted ships. Tunde's flashlight flickered as he moved between containers. Then he saw her, Adaora, tied to a chair, her head hanging low. He ran toward her. Mama Ada, I'm here. But before he could reach her, a voice echoed from the shadows. Brave boy, you never learn. Tunde froze. A man stepped into the light. Not Duro, someone worse. Tall, foreign, wearing a military-grade raincoat. I represent the real owners of this operation, the man said. You embarrassed us, cost us money, but we believe in second chances. Tunde clenched his fists. You hurt her again. Elfman laughed softly. You're a street orphan, a lucky one, but luck runs out. He snapped his fingers. Two armed men appeared from behind the crates. Adaora looked up weakly. Run, Tunde, she whispered. But Tunde didn't move. Not this time. He'd spent years running from fear, from pain, from memories of losing everything. He wasn't running anymore. He reached into his pocket and pressed a small button on his old wristwatch. A red light blinked 3 times. Within seconds, a drone's faint buzz filled the air. The man looked up, startled. What is that? Tunde smirked. Insurance. The drone, built from parts he'd scavenged over months, streamed everything lived to social media: the location, the faces, the weapons, the entire scene. You think you can hide anymore? Tunde said. You're on camera. The world's watching. The man's comm slipped. Turn it off. But before he could react, the sound of sirens pierced the rain. Police lights flashed from the road above. The men tried to flee, but it was too late. The drone signal had done its job. Thousands were watching the livestream. Hashtag spread in minutes. Hashtag justice fo rada orada. Hashtag the orphan returns da. Tunde untied Adaora and held her tight as officers flooded the docks. For the first time in years, she smiled, weak but proud. You've grown, my son. Days later, headlines screamed, international trafficking ring linked to Chief Duro's allies exposed. But behind the public victory, shadows still lingered. When Adaora was taken to the hospital, she whispered to Tunde, one of them. He mentioned a name, the one funding everything, the architect. Tunde frowned. Who's that? She coughed softly. The man who built all this. Even before Duro, he's still out there. Later that night, as Tunde left the hospital, a black envelope waited on his motorcycle. Inside was a single photo: a high-rise building overlooking the city, its lights forming the shape of a phoenix. On the back, it read, You wanted the truth, Tunde. Come find me. He looked up at the skyline. Rain still falling. The same storm that once terrified him now seemed to call his name. He whispered, Then the hunt begins. The camera zooms out, Lagos glowing under the thunderstorm. One light flickering at the top of the mysterious tower.